This is the Peugeot e208, a full electric car. In this video, we're going to take a trip from Rotterdam in the Netherlands to the Black Forest in Germany. Hope you enjoy. So before we even began to think about our trip, we calculated the route with the help of a better route planner. Now stick around, because it turns out there is a better way to navigate using another app. Although having its flaws right now, a better route planner helped us get to point 1, which was just across the border with Germany, where we would have ended up with 10% battery. We thought, oh well, it's not like it's gonna break or something when we get there. Turns out it does. A lot. The first stop was immediately a headache. We stopped there with only 10%, so not much range left, and the charging station only had a few options. Different connectors, a fast charger and a slow charger. So obviously you can't use the wrong connection to charge, and the fast charger was broken. Finally, the slow charger, which would have taken like 2 to 3 hours to fully charge, was taken. So what do you do now? Luckily, on the other side of the highway was another charging station, so it was only a 10-kilometer drive. I then searched for alternatives and came across another app I had pre-installed just in case, called Pump, but it's on iOS only. And it's a paid app also, but because of it, it works 10 times better than a better route planner, as of today. It shows you how much cars are actually charging there in real time too. So if they are all red, as in taken, you know beforehand that you can't charge right away. And also if the charging station actually worked. Because of this, I regained a lot of trust and did not worry as much about every kilometer, since this was the first long trip I did with an EV. Then came the second stop, like 200 kilometers further. And once again, problems. There are 3 fast chargers, but 2 were already taken, and the one that was available was, you guessed it, broken. So me thinking ahead, plugged in the working slow charger, casually waiting for one of the other 2 fast chargers to be available again. Until one drove off and immediately was taken by another car before I had the time to unplug. This is another issue. There is no waiting queue at an EV station, so people assume that empty means available. Now it can be very social as well, always speaking to people around you who are waiting to have their electric car filled up again. But sometimes you just don't want that, or you're not the type of person. Then it can be very annoying because of problems like this. Anyway, my lesson from this was that I just walk up to someone and ask if they would signal when ready, so that I could get ready to take their spot when they left. There was also a restaurant there though, so waiting was not much of an issue for me. All in all, in this place alone, we were 35 minutes behind schedule. And the first stop was also like 30 minutes longer because of the broken machine. So you would think that that's it, right? You just plugged in the fast charger and drove off. Well, no. The fast chargers come in with their own cables, and they're not very long. In this car, because it is built in the same production line as the gasoline version, the charging spot is in the exact same spot. Normally though, this is not much of a difference. This time, the car next to us parked a little weird, and because he did not take the charger that was closest to him, I have to take one further. And so no matter how I parked the car, I could not reach it. So I ended up parking it like this to resolve it. Not very practical. So off we went to the next charging station. Finally, at this stop, no problems. It was next to a big shopping mall and loads of space to charge it. It was like a 5-minute drive from the highway and very easy to reach. One practical thing is that when you have an app like this, you can check the current percentage charged, and then you can enter this information in the Pump app. to let it calculate how much charge you're gonna have left when you reach your destination. Since every charge will end up at a different percentage, sometimes 80%, sometimes a little more, etc., it's recommended to change that for more accurate navigation. Anyway, we only had time to walk to the nearest toilet before the car was already full again. These 350 kWh chargers are very fast, and in 20 minutes of charging, we were ready to go. Now, one thing I really notice is that when you're on a German highway, there is no speed limit, as some of you may know. But because of this, it's very hard not to drive as fast or even faster. It's just easier and a lot of fun. But with that comes less range on the EV. So it's a constant balance of driving 140 to driving 100 because you're afraid of not making it there with charge. And then our final charge before arriving was once again like an hour and a half later, and went smooth as well. Most of these charging places have facilities to go to the toilet, have a drink or eat something. So before you know it, it's fully charged, and sometimes I even wanted to rest a little more before driving again. So the charging time didn't bother me as much anymore. From there on, we started to see mountains, and we went off the highway to enjoy the country roads a little more. Once we arrived though, the promised charging station at the hotel was there alright. But sadly, it couldn't be reached because it was blocked by a fossil fuel car. So that was a huge bummer, since we arrived with only 20% left and we had a full day planned for the day after. These are the type of things that makes it a lot more difficult bringing in the EV. So far it was a bumpy ride. Not because of the suspension, but because of all the troubles in the first section, which was pretty annoying to deal with. The car itself performed stunningly good. It's quiet, it drives very well, and the sound system on the starting model of the e208 is great. It has excellent bass as well. The only downside right now would be its range and the infrastructure. I averaged around 320 kilometers per full charge. That's driving like 100 kilometers per hour and not using the air conditioning on full blast. Or any heating. Not that we needed that on this trip, but just imagine. Heated car seats, for example, is another energy drainer. On the German highway, you end up driving more like 130 kilometers per hour, so that means more charging. I felt like charging every time you hit 20% was the sweet spot, because it factors in problems too. It just gives a lot of peace of mind. YouTube favors channels that have a high subscriber count, and thus my videos would be watched a lot more if you were to subscribe. Thank you so much, and for now, have a fantastic day.